You're listening to Engage, the podcast for Delta pilots. Here's your host, Ryan Argenta.
We're back with the Engage podcast. This is the Tentative Agreement series, back with the Negotiating Chairman Eric Criswell. Okay, something that we all love, vacation, time off, Section 7. Some pretty big improvements here in vacation. Eric, kick it off for us.
Yeah, this was a primary objective during this negotiation, was to take our vacation benefit, which was widely viewed as one of the most lagging in the industry, and make it one of the best. And I can't say that we have the best vacation in the industry, but I can say that we made some huge improvements comparatively to where we were, and certainly comparatively to our closest peers at American United. We have blown the doors off of what they have as a benefit. And I guess I'll start out. So the first piece is the number of weeks. Our accrual schedule went from 2 weeks of vacation to 5 weeks of vacation after 19 or more years. That was our existing table. We've moved the dates up in that table. For the third week, it moves up a year. For the fourth week, it moves up a year. But for the fifth week, it moves up 3 years. So now at the 16-year mark at Delta, you'll have access to 5 weeks of vacation. The other piece of that, though, is the value. So there was a lot of talk about adding a sixth week, maybe at 20 years or at 25 years. In the past, we've had a sixth week back under C2K. Prior to the bankruptcy era, we had a sixth week of vacation payable after 25 years of service. The caveat there, though, was the value at that time. Under C2K, at the initial part of C2K was 3.5 hours. And then at the end of C2K was 3 hours and 45 minutes per day. So if you extrapolate it out, you multiply 6 weeks of vacation times 345, C2K's high watermark was about 157 hours and change of vacation. Under this agreement, at 5 weeks, not 6, but 5 weeks, we end up at 4 hours and 35 minutes of vacation by the end, which is equivalent to 160 hours and 25 minutes of vacation. So we've exceeded the previous high watermark for our value of vacation. It takes a little bit of an implementation to get there. So in the first year, for this vacation year that we're all bidding for right now, our pay is going to go to 4 hours a day. If you recall, there's currently vacation pays in tranches. The first 2 weeks, it pays $345, and then any other weeks after that pay $330. We've eliminated that different treatment of weeks. So now they're all worth the same amount. And the first year, they're going to be worth 4 hours a day. The second year, which would be the 2024 vacation year, they'll be 4 hours and 15 minutes a day. And then the third year, which is the 2025 vacation year, 2025, 2026, that is 4 hours and 35 minutes. And again, the accrual schedule, that actually moves up immediately. So pilots this year that were eligible for 2 weeks of vacation under the old plan, that are eligible for 3 weeks now, they actually get that third week. However, it's already bid for. So you can't reestablish vacation bids with extra weeks. So the solution for this vacation year is that those pilots are going to be paid out for their extra week that they've accrued, just because the bids are closed or will be closed by the time this ratification is over. So anyone that was due an extra week of vacation this year in the 2023, 2024 vacation year is going to get that paid out. And it's going to be paid out at the 4 hours a day, the increased rate. The other piece that really drives the value of vacation is the distribution. So what this means is how many weeks of vacation have to be in the summer or have to be over holiday periods or the really high demand times that pilots want to take their vacation. How much vacation does the company have to offer? We've increased that to the current contract has a 1% requirement. So 1% of all weeks for the year need to be on each week of the year. So if you add that up, it's 52% of the vacation has to be equally distributed throughout the year. The other 48% is completely at the company's discretion. So they can put that other 48% wherever they want. So we've tightened that up. Going forward, the default is 1.3% of vacation for each week of the year. So that takes the total allocation to about 168%. Now, there is a slight change in the summer. We actually wanted to push that up in the summer. That obviously is going to be met with some resistance because summer is when staffing is the tightest. So making more pilots unavailable in the summer, that has the greatest effect on headcount throughout the whole year if you want this distribution in the summer. So what actually is happening in the summer is there's 3 different requirements that all must be met. So it goes to 1.25% per week in the summer months, which sounds like less. However, we put backstops in there that says it can't be less than 5.5% total per bid period. But it also has to equate to 18% of our total vacation be available in those 3 bid periods. So that's actually a greater allocation than the 1.3% per week. And really what that's saying is that, hey, we want more vacation in June, July, and August. We don't necessarily care as much if it's the second week of August versus the third week of June. We just want more in that period. So it does give some flexibility and latitude for the company to move weeks around within that summer period, but there's layering backstops there to try to get as much vacation into the summer as we can. So the practical effect is that we have about a 30% increase to the minimum number of weeks most of the year, and about a 38% increase to the minimum number of weeks that are required to be in the summer. So those are the primary vacation, the accrual schedule, the number of hours per day, and then the distribution. That's the primary gains in vacation.
I know people are going to ask, why can't vacation match the ADG of 515? Give me the philosophical answer, right? It is what it is.
Well, you get what you negotiate, right? If you look around the industry, United still pays their vacation at 3 hours and 15 minutes. And they weren't trying to improve that in their TA1. Whether they try to improve it in TA2 or not is yet to be seen, but their vacation is worth significantly less per day than ours in total value. So we've already moved a mountain there to get to 435. Is it impossible to get to 515? I can't say if it'll be impossible, but the MEC and our organization here was satisfied with the movement that happened here. This puts us second only to the cargo carriers, FedEx and UPS. We're now ahead of every other passenger carrier in the industry. Where we started this, we were behind nearly every passenger carrier. It's kind of been an order of magnitude shift in the value of our vacation benefit. It's been needed for a long time. A lot of heavy lifting was done in this section. This adds, when I say hundreds of heads of additional pilots that'll be required to fly the schedule, that's not an exaggeration. This is a very impactful item. It was not easy to negotiate. And I certainly think we stack up the best among the passenger carriers in the industry at this point.
Very good. Now, here's a new provision, this 48 hours free of duty before vacation. How does that work? And what are the implications there?
So effectively, you take your first week, your primary vacation. It can be 1 week, it can be 2 weeks, it can be multiple weeks, but you can add 48 hours of unavailability on the beginning of that. They're treated just like vacation days. So if your primary vacation is a 7-day period, effectively, this just makes it a 9-day period with 2 extra days on the front end. Still has the same value. So that week is going to pay whatever the yearly vacation value is times 7 days. So that's an unpaid period, but it does block extra days. The theory there is that sometimes if you're going to take a cruise or if you're going to go maybe on a road trip or whatever, camping, you want a couple extra days, then 7's just not enough. If you want to take a 7-day vacation, maybe you need a day at home after you finish your trip. Maybe you want to have a little buffer zone there to non-rev. Whatever the case is, it gives you a couple extra days that you can block your schedule. And that's not subject to any staffing requirements. So that's a guarantee. You can check the box when you bid your vacation. I want to have those 2 days off prior to vacation, and you'll be awarded them.
So they are unpaid days. And is that only for primary vacation, or can you use it ahead of any block of vacation?
Nope, it's just for your primary, and it's only available at the time of bid. So if you don't check the box when you're bidding your vacation to get that 48 hours, you don't have access to it later. So you have to make a decision when you bid your primary vacation. Hey, do I want to use my 48-hour period or not? There'll be a selection tool when you're putting your vacation bid in to be able to indicate whether you want it.
Okay. And I like your example. You have a cruise or a wedding, something very significant going on. You know what? I'm going to buffer that by 48 hours. It's unpaid, but it's 2 extra days that you're off. Can you white slip or green slip within that 48-hour free of duty period?
No. So that's treated just like vacation otherwise. So you can't be inverse assigned during that period either. You cannot be expected to perform company duty during that period, and you will not be subject to any duty assignments by the company during that period.
Okay. And as far as vacation slide goes, 7E7 in the contract, it looks like you can still slide your vacation, but now there's some better provisions on a slide. Can you talk to that?
So vacation slide has not been codified. It's something that we have access to right now. It's just a feature within the PBS software, but it's not something that we have a contractual right to do. So there's 2 things that have happened here. One of them is we've just codified it, said, hey, we don't want to lose this. Don't take this function away. It's now in our contracts. It can't be taken away. And that's a status quo provision. Nothing's going to change with that. So if there's adequate coverage, you're welcome to slide your vacation exactly as you are today, and nothing should change. What we did do, though, is we also created a provision that says if there's adequate staffing, meaning you've got a month where you get an extra X day if you're a reserve. That's how we gauge this. In months where there's extra X days for reserve, that indicates that there's adequate staffing. You now have the ability to slide your vacation up to 3 days. So currently you're restricted from doing so. What we said is, hey, if it's a month where you've generally got enough pilots, I should be able to slide my vacation at least 3 days, even if there's not enough pilots on one of those days. So that's a new provision that doesn't exist today. That's going to require some programming. Anything having to do with NavBlue and PBS is going to be an implementation timeline because we're relying on a third-party vendor to make these software changes. My understanding from our PBS folks and from the company is that they're very difficult to pin down on timelines. So you'll see some extended implementation on any item that has to do with PBS just because we're relying on a third party to do it.
Okay, understood. Last noted improvement here is the individual vacation days, the IVDs. So pilots with 3 weeks or more can use now 6 IVDs on 2 separate occasions. It's currently 4 on 2 occasions. That seems helpful too, right?
It's a little more value. I mean, those are effectively paid APDs, paid at the rate of a vacation day. And the truth is that the occasions are the more valuable component of IVDs. I think the company would love to unwind IVDs altogether because that throws them staffing curveballs every now and then when pilots put these in their schedule. They're a great tool. We certainly weren't going to allow any kind of negative changes to them. What we were able to get is an extra couple days of pay for them. There may be opportunities where you can put 3 of these in a row that maybe touches a couple trips or something that you didn't have the ability to do elsewhere, but that's a couple extra days of paid IVD that you'll have access to.
Okay, great. All right, let's leave it there. Eric Criswell, the chairman of the negotiating committee, thanks so much. In following episodes, we talk about Section 8, deadheading, and the new Section 10 for seniority list instructors, line check pilots, and line validation pilots. We're going to talk filling of vacancies. That means advanced entitlements, AEs, and training. Then we move on to the heavy hitters of Section 12 and 23, hours of service and scheduling. And of course, we're going to cover all the topics, so stick with us on the Engage podcast. This has been Engaged, the podcast for Delta pilots. Thanks for listening. My name is Ryan Argenta. Stay safe and keep the rubber on the road.
You're listening to Engage, the podcast for Delta pilots. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast platform, and receive notifications when a new episode is available.